Rather than just going through the introductions, I'm going to get to the meat of the matter so that I don't strain my voice and end up using the same monotone voice as all the other videos. Now, one of the major criticisms of modern 2D fighters is that they've got long learning curves. And Guilty Gear aside, it's a legitimate concern. Ever since Street Fighter II and its endless reiteration started coming out of the woodwork, game developers have either tried to add different game mechanics to the standard life bar, super bar combo, or just reinvent the wheel in an attempt to add some depth to their games. Fatal Fury had the two-line system, Bushido Blade had realistic weapon-based combat, and Evil Zone had that whole one-button what-the-hell fiasco. But the one thing most of these fighters don't keep track of is the learning curve. How long it takes for the average Joe to get the hang of the game before they can put up a good fight. Either it's far too steep and turns people away from the game, or it's too shallow and leaves the player feeling underwhelmed. So in this respect, Project Justice, and the Rival School series as a whole, is the closest thing to a modern 2D fighter with a stable learning curve that's been made in a long time. Yes, I know that these are technically 3D fighters, but come on. They're made by Capcom. When has Capcom ever made a 3D fighter that actively used 3D? You can sidestep, and it's called a ditch in this game, but it's that odd hopping sidestep, not the more practical walking sidestep. There's also an odd but cool looking rolling dodge. There are different types, and it can mess up a character's attack pattern, especially Roberto's, which seems to have this odd after effect. But for the most part, this is a 2D fighter. 2.5D maybe, 2.5D. Special moves, long combo chains, and air combos are the law of the land here. Most special moves are performed with either quarter circles or dragon punch motions, or flip versions of the two, except for one or two very rare and convoluted examples. Super moves, called Burning Vigor attacks in this game, are the same, except that the motions are always doubled. Combo chains can be boiled down to a sequence of short jabs, heavy punches, and a special or super move. And most characters have at least one type of launcher attack. There are two different types of launchers, one for combos and a stronger one that's used alone, which can send the victim flying straight up, limp as a ragdoll, and right for a Marvel-style air combo. It's all fairly simple at heart, and you can survive using these tactics without having to memorize any long combo strings. But there's more to the game than that. There are basic throws, par for the course in most fighting games, but these are unblockable and they can be aimed low too. You can cancel attacks, special moves, and even projectiles by throwing a well-timed jab, and both fighters will gain meter in the process. There are also tardy counters, counterattacks that can be used while blocking an opponent's attack. Textbook combos, the name for chain combos in this series, have been neutered since the earlier games. You can't repeat them over and over again, but you can add a mini rival launcher, if the character you're using has one, that is. And you can even tack on an aerial rave. And I haven't even touched on the main hook of the series, team-based combat. Each player forms a team of 3 fighters, and one fighter fights in each round while the other team members wait off screen. Unlike that other 3-on-3 fighter, you can cycle through them or just keep using the same one for each match. As one person fights, the others wait on the sidelines, but they can rush in to help when team-up techniques are used. Team-up techniques have limited range and are blockable, so it's risky to use them, but they do a whole lot of damage in a short amount of time and prevent you from flinching, so they could be used as super armor or counters or both. Each character has a unique animation, and there are different types which have varying effects. Project Justice takes it one step further by adding party-up techniques, where the whole team jumps in to wail on the poor saps that get hit with it. Takes 5 bars, but it's a quick and flashy way to deal heavy damage. The game's as simple or complicated as you want to make it, and unless you're playing against a snob, there are no combos that you just have to use because everybody else does. The animation's a bit stiff, but it's aged well. It's loosely structured, and that's part of what makes it fun. The other factor is the game's storyline and sense of style. The Rival School series is one of the few fighting game series with a coherent storyline. Yeah, take that in for a moment. I realize how crazy that sounds, but it's true. There are no confusing retcons to deal with, and most of the characters who were blackballed for Project Justice had a reason for it. The artwork and character designs for the game are unique, in so much as a game based on Japanese schoolyard shtick can be unique, and the main reason for that is because they were handled by Edayan, the same guy who handled the artwork for the Street Fighter EX and Monster Hunter series. It doesn't have that creepy porcelain doll look to it either, which is a plus in my book. Rival Schools was actually a pretty popular game back in the day, so I was on the fence on whether or not I should even cover it. But once I heard how middling the sales on Project Justice were, I knew I had to give it a once-over. Unless juggling 6 complex game mechanics at a time gives you a chubby, Project Justice is worth a look. And considering that this game ended on a massive cliffhanger, the world really does need a sequel. Maybe Batsu's appearance in Tatsunoko vs. Capcom will convince Capcom to change their minds? Oh, and if you're one of those dumbasses that bitch about not having 6 attack buttons in a Capcom fighter, do the world a favor and shut up. You're just making yourself look like a dumbass, and be honest with yourself. Have you ever really used all 6 attack buttons for each fighter? Like in, say, Street Fighter? No. You stick with jabs, and then you stick with heavy punches. That's all I've ever seen, so just shut up already, please.